Rogan.
Right.
I wouldn't classify him as our rival.
Sorry, not to bring up your competitor.
Yeah, he's like our competitor, kind of.
Yeah. No, I would 100% go on.
For sure, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, nah. Hey, you want to come on? Nah, not really. I'm waiting for Joe.
Sorry, do you have connection with Joe Rogan though?
No, Kane just really likes Joe Rogan.
It's not even that
Or
I really.
You sound like you do though.
No,
you
I
said you
sound
listen
like
to it
the
every
fan.
Saturday.
Yeah, you
only
listen to him.
recently I've started to listen to him.
No, I like Joe Rogan, but I don't really listen to his show that much. I watch clips. I think he's like the modern day like David Letterman.
Yeah, to be honest, the only way
He's the most influential like media personality.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Other than like
Probably.
Elon.
Yeah, because
Much.
he's literally like, yeah, he does a podcast, but he fights. He's also
Well, he doesn't fight.
fought.
He's fought in the war.
Yeah,
That he didn't.
but he's also like a big he's a big like fitness sort of geek as well, isn't he?
Yeah. No, he's
What's
like
with that,
he's
though?
very knowledgeable on like fitness and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's eating the apple. I feel like it's normally just the snake.
Really?
Yeah, right?
I don't know. I don't pay.
Never
I've
seen-
You
never
tell
paid
me.
attention to
I've
it.
never seen the snake
It's a
eating
nice statue.
the apple or the fruit or whatever.
What is your favorite like
Is this a controversial question?
visualization? No. Well, could be.
It could be. If
What's
you
your
want.
favorite like visual representation of the Blessed Virgin Mary?
Ooh, visual
Like, you know how,
Marian
like-
apparition?
Just like, do you know like drawings?
Yeah,
Like I
so, like-
really like the way that Our Lady of Medjugorje is just like the You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the image, like kind of.
Yeah. Well, I went to Our Lady of Champion in Wisconsin. It's the only approved
Okay,
Marian apparition in
yeah.
the U.S. I did really like that one. Not for this reason, but I was gonna say because she's like blonde. It, like doesn't really matter, but she's I don't know.
Sounds like it matters.
No, but it doesn't. It's just I just think she just looks really beautiful. Her hands are like open.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's other great ones as well. Like
Okay.
they're all escaping my brain right now, but there is a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Interesting.
What's your favorite one of Jesus?
Are there different
Yeah.
ones?
There's.
He's always going like this. Like,
Oh, like
The Divine Mercy is
the
one.
Divine
well,
Mercy.
he doesn't have two fingers up in
Okay.
that one because this is normally for the hypostatic union, where he's like to show us humanity
Oh.
and divinity.
Okay.
Is
I
that
didn't know
with the
that.
Sacred Heart? No.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like okay. Cool.
What is yours?
I was gonna say Sacred Heart.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had that over my over my bed kind of in my house.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it was that would be my favorite.
I would probably do the Shroud of Turin for me
Oh, cool.
if I had to pick one.
Oh,
pick.
Yeah.
a depiction of Jesus.
Yeah.
I do really like the Divine Mercy image. It's in the back of my phone for
Okay.
like so long.
Divine Mercy is going out as we're speaking, by the way. Not even on air.
Okay, that's so
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
That's pretty cool.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay, just wondering.
Why? Just because I'm American, or?
No, I mean I do too. No, just some
Yeah.
people have iPhones and some people, you know.
That's
Yeah.
a great
Don't-
segue.
Yeah.
That's a great segue to start the show, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say we haven't even have we started.
We have started
We
the show.
started.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's it. So this is part 3 of the
Three-part,
focus series.
like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. This is the big
Is
one.
this the Return of the King?
This
Yeah.
is. Anyways, well, welcome on the show.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having
it's
me.
great to have you on.
Emma Lee.
Emily.
You got it. You got it right.
Yeah. Could you give us a bit of background on who you are and where you come from and how you ended up here?
How did I end up in Ireland? Yeah. So yes, I'm Emily, and I'm originally from Orange County in Southern California, Mission Viejo specifically.
Shout
And yeah, shout out Mission Viejo, SoCal, warmer weather than here. And yeah, I went to San Diego State as well. So go Aztecs. Second shout out. But yeah, I have been a Focus missionary for, this is my 3rd year now. And yeah, I joined Focus right after graduating from San Diego State. And I was at the University of Idaho the last 2 years. And yeah, lived in Moscow, Idaho. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I loved it a lot. Also, Visa Up for them. I had to shout
Okay.
out Shout out the Vandals. So
yeah. I don't think UCD has one. Or do they? No, they do. It's the Swans Up.
Yes, Swans Up.
Swans
We
Up.
made that up though.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's not an
that's not a
official
real
one.
thing. Okay, cool.
Someone made it
I
up.
don't think UCD
for
has a
UCD.
mascot for sure. I don't know.
No,
there
no,
was
not
a-
officially.
not
But
officially,
we liked it. We were
but there
making
was a
it
swan
Swans Up.
during Freshies Week. There was a swan that there was a guy, not
Oh.
a swan.
A guy
There was
dressed as a
guy
swan.
dressed as like
See?
this massive swan.
That's so
Yeah,
random.
so
that
Swans
was
Up.
walking around. Swans Up. I don't like it. I think it's weird.
Really?
But
The guy dressed as a
You
swan.
don't like-
the whole thing just swans up. I feel like a swan is it's just not that.
Swans are aggressive. So
Yeah, but like
if you want a school mascot, you want them to be
aesthetic is
like,
graceful though. They have a
yeah,
graceful
they're
aesthetic.
graceful,
yeah,
but they will kill you. So
yeah. Actually, funny story. This has nothing to do with well, kind of. I was eating, you know this. I was eating my sandwich the other day. This was last week, and I was eating it in front of the lake in UCD. And I was just eating it, and a bunch of seagulls just came by and like sat down beside me, and then they were just staring at me. And then I finished off my first sandwich, picked up my second sandwich, started eating it, took a bite out of it, and a seagull flew over my head, took the sandwich out of my hand.
Are you
and
serious?
just
tragic.
flew away.
Yeah.
I would have been rattled.
I was so. It wasn't the fact that I lost my sandwich or the fact that it
I
took
would
my
have been
sandwich.
like,
I would have been just like,
"Ugh."
ew, that's
Yeah.
But no, it was more the fact that everyone was just looking at me
Oh snap.
because it's like, what do you do? Like, what do
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
do?
wait.
How do you respond?
How do you
to
turn that into a win?
You can't have a go with the seagull. Be like,
That's
here, what do you do?
just-
You just
yeah,
Just a
you
big
do-
L.
you
give
run
me back
after
my
him.
sandwich.
Yeah, what do you? Yeah, how do you recover? It's like when everyone's looking at you and you like trip or something.
So you can't even.
What do? You just gotta.
I just walked
Accept
away really
defeat.
awkwardly. It was really bad. Anyways, but stay on topic.
Yeah. So, can you tell us about your background in the faith?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I grew up Catholic. My parents are both Catholic. And yeah, like grew up going to mass on Sundays, like praying grace before meals. And yeah, like went to like we called it CCD classes, like faith formation classes, like even in like what you guys would call like primary school, like elementary school. And then yeah, so like had like a faith foundation like as a child. Like I remember like always praying before I went to bed, like at the very least. But there was a lot of like mystery. Like I didn't really know who like God was for
Okay.
like not in the way like I feel like there was just like there was a lot of like things I just wasn't formed in like well, like kind of similar to what I've been hearing people like in Ireland, like kind of the experience of like being raised in the faith but not really knowing it.
Right.
And so yeah, it wasn't until like high school I was really blessed to have because I'd gone through still was like going to like faith formation classes like out of the parish. Like I never went to Catholic school, just like public school. My mom's a public school teacher, so yeah, and so it was like all through like my parish, which is actually really good. And we did confirmation my first 2 years of high school, like so secondary school.
How
yeah.
old were you when you got confirmed?
I was 15.
Is that common?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's usually you're like a sophomore in high school, like so like it's hard to I'm like trying to
Yeah.
translate it, but it's like
Fourth year.
yeah, like
kind
probably
of.
your fourth year of
Yeah.
like secondary school, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, so but we had it's funny, my youth like basically one of like the biggest experiences for me, or that was like a major turning point, was I went like for confirmation we had like 2 years of classes that we had to go to like usually on Sundays, and then we had to go on a confirmation retreat. It was like everyone had to go, and it was like in the mountains, and so it was like a true like proper retreat.
Okay.
And like there was like talks and just like time for like fellowship. It was like in the mountains, so like really beautiful.
Wow.
There was like we split up into men and women's groups and like shared real things like with each other, which was really beautiful. And then like had adoration like that, big adoration night. And I don't think I'd ever been to adoration before, so it was like, and they also had us write like it was like one of our parents and then like our sponsor had to write a letter to us that we like read that night that we didn't know they were going to write. And I just remember like breaking down and just like really encountering God in like a way that I knew that I was loved, and like I just remember like making a vow to like never forget that experience because I was like this does change things.
Right.
Yeah, that was a big turning point for me. And where I just like could feel like God's like presence within me, even though I like didn't really know who Jesus was, didn't know what the Eucharist was. Like still a lot of like room for growth, but yeah, I always look back, and also from that the youth minister who ended up coming after that retreat, his name is Andrew Watson, and he's actually from Scotland. So shout out also to him because he is an amazing person and is a big reason why I'm here today, because he started leading like a weekly Bible study that I started going to also in high school, where it was like just really fun and just a space for just for high schoolers to come together, and we got actually started reading scripture. I'd like never read scripture really in my life, so that was like I was learning so many things just about the faith and about who Jesus is, and and then I started like leading the retreats that I had been on, like the confirmation retreats, and was like praying with people, and it was really cool. So what was
your experience going from that? Because you said you went to a non-Catholic school. So what was your experience then going back to that non-Catholic school after that whole experience?
Yeah, I think like at that point, it was very much like a mountaintop experience, where like I had like encountered God in a deeper way, and like was more like convicted that like God was real. Like even though I don't think I truly ever doubted that, never like truly fell away, but like was just living very much like a double life. So I think like I think I still like just kind of went back to life as normal in a lot of ways, but still was like I want to like grow. Like I think if anything it planted that seed within me of like I want to continue to grow in my faith, and like that's why I like started going to the Bible study, and just like had that desire and like hunger to like learn more, and like I think that was kind of what it did for me more than anything. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then when you eventually went to college, you went to Drake. No.
Nope. That was Emma. I went to San Diego State.
San Diego State.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you study?
I studied speech language and hearing sciences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you want to be like a speech therapist or pathologist?
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. You didn't know I knew about this.
I'm surprised you do know about this. How do you know about this?
My cousin's a pathologist.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, yeah. I didn't go into college. So my first years of college, I went to community college, like a local community college. I lived at home and worked part-time, and that was really good. Saved a lot of money because California is expensive. But it was, so I transferred to San Diego State my junior year. So I originally was a psychology major my first 2 years, and then it was pretty easy to like switch majors because it was a lot of the same like prerequisite courses. But it would just, I just like was kind of, my mom like kind of suggested it to me randomly. It was like, hey, my friend's daughter is doing this, like this might be something, because I wasn't like convinced that I wanted to do psychology or like be a psychologist. But then I ended up I love kids, and I was like, oh, I could like work with kids, and it's cool like learning about like different languages and accents, which is very helpful here because that's my life now. It's just being exposed to so many different accents. And then I wanted to like help people. That was just like I wanted to do something that could help people, so that kind of brought me to that field, and I loved it. I thought it was so cool, and people still ask me all the time like, when are you gonna do that? I'm like, I don't know, whatever God wants. If he wants me, like he directed me away from that in becoming a missionary, but I'm like, if he wants me to actually go to grad school, or I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of helpful right now. Like Dion and I were talking about this the other day, because like I'm just so aware of how people say things, because I would have to like listen to recordings of and like transcribe how people would say something like specifically, and so I've been I was talking with Oscar about this too. I was
say, you actually do that.
Well, no, I'm saying I could.
Okay,
I've forgotten a lot of it, to be fair, but but in my classes I did.
Right.
So so it's kind of cool just to, I mean, I'm sure there's like speech pathologists who have like looked at like different Irish accents and like these are the differences. Like you could do that. That'd be cool. But
what's been the hardest accent to understand?
To understand. Okay, people were like, "Oh, you're not gonna understand like some accents," and I can understand people.
Okay.
There was one like I don't think in Dublin there's been any that I like can't understand. There's just like as we've noticed, there's just words that it's like I'm just trying to have a normal conversation and I'm like, what are you talking about? But like it's just like the individual words are just different. Or how people say things that it's just funny. But there was like one person when I was on a mission trip in Connemara last summer with Focus, and we were staying with the host family, and there was like the father of the family we were staying with like had a very strong like I actually couldn't understand him. Okay. So that was the only time that like nice. I feel like I truly couldn't understand.
Do you notice anything about either of our like voices or accents or no? Like we need some speech therapy or no?
No, you don't. No, it's like I was like in college. There was a lab where like people would come that wanted to sound more like fluent in English that had like different accents. So like that's like people can choose that, but I would never. That like the biggest thing I feel like I learned from my class was like there's no like right way to say things. Like it's very like that's I think people get so hung up on like you're saying it wrong and it's like actually everyone has an accent wrong. That, I mean if you're just saying the wrong name that's just that. But no, I didn't know you were Canadian. I told you that like I said I didn't know you were Canadian how you sound. So so and then Dion
people think we sound alike.
You sound no I don't. I mean, maybe.
I don't think we do.
No.
No, we mentioned this 1,000 times in the show.
Your accent's very distinct, Dion. Like, it's very...
Really, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's very, like, soft. I don't know if that's the right word. Like, it's very... Gentle. It's very... Yeah. It is, nice. Like, yeah.
I would say Keen's has a more gentle voice than me.
Emily doesn't.
I don't think so. Because it's more because it's Irish, so it's not that all Irish accents. I was gonna say that's not it either. I'm gonna get canceled by the end of this, probably. Just kidding.
That focus policy is at the door. No. Anyways, actually, I was gonna say something about it, but I'm gonna move on to the episode. No, let's say it again. How did you actually become a missionary? Can you explain the events that sort of led up to that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I transferred to San Diego State my junior year, and I at this point had already been like growing in my faith. Like I said, like I was still like involved my first 2 years of college, still like in like that high school group, was still like helping leading retreats and kind of leading Bible study a little bit. So when I got to San Diego State, I was like already looking for like the Catholic community, which is I think a lot of students aren't, which is I think that is like really important to like, you know, in discerning like where to go to school. But so like I remember we had orientation on campus for like students transferring to SDSU, and the missionaries were tabling, like they had like an Aztec Catholic table, and I like was, you know, like wrote my name. I was like, oh, you guys are the Catholics, great, and like wrote my name down. I think so. Yeah, a friend like reached out to me and was like, hey, like we have this like random event. And anyways, I was like in pretty much right away. My roommates that I were living with were not Catholic, or like if they were, they weren't like practicing. So that was a little bit tough being just like luckily I like got involved in the community right away, and just felt so welcomed. It was just so cool. Like it was like one of my friends actually that I ended up living with my last year of college, she actually had my mom as a teacher. So like it was like the first day like I got there, she's like, wait, your last name is Ambrosio? I had your mom in 8th grade as my English teacher. And it was crazy. So anyways, like it was like there was just this amazing community where it was just so like everyone would just go to daily mass, like go to almost daily adoration, and then just like hang out and get food after. Like that was just the norm. And so I was just like, oh, this is what people like. I had no idea. I had like never really gone to daily mass, but I was like, oh, people actually like do this. And so that was huge for me, and like joined a Focus Bible study. And so like through like just getting involved in the community and getting to know like the missionaries, started just like growing deeper into the faith, and like really in my identity as like a beloved daughter, because I wasn't truly like living out of that identity, or even if I had like, even though I was like raised Catholic, didn't know like the fullness of what God wanted for me and like the freedom that he offers. And yeah, just like didn't know who Jesus was because I just had been like learning how to like read scripture, but still in a lot of ways didn't know who Jesus was. And yeah, again, like didn't really know what the Eucharist was. And that I remember there was a moment in adoration. There was a book I was reading that was actually about the Eucharist. It was called like The 7 Secrets of the Eucharist. And it like, I remember it was kind of like a scales falling from my eyes moment of like, oh my gosh, like Jesus, like I was like in adoration. Like, I don't know I can't even remember what I thought like when I was going, but I just remember being like, oh my gosh, like you are like here and all of heaven is present here as well. And like the entire Trinity. And I was just like, whoa. And then just like having conversations with people too. So anyways, but yeah, that experience in adoration was like really powerful, and just like going more often, and because it was just like offered every day, and going to daily mass. Like I had my own car, so I was like, oh, I can't make it to mass at Newman, and I want to receive the Eucharist every day, so I can just go to different mass, and just like growing that like hunger and desire, to continue to receive the Lord, and just come to know him more and more. And then COVID happened, which was like crazy because I was like, we had like a retreat as well that spring where it was focused on the Holy Spirit, and like I had like a crazy experience of like we were like our small groups all like prayed with each other, and it just like had like all these gifts from the Holy Spirit and just like crazy like images, and just it was just like the most wild experience. And then so we were like just all on fire like from this retreat. That was it the first? I think it was either like the end of February or like the first weekend of March of 2020. So we were like all on fire, like so ready to go out and just like, you know, come together as community. And then it's like we all had to scatter and go. Like I went home. Well, I lived an hour from home, and my mom was like, you got to come home because we didn't know what was going on. And I was like, I just packed up what I needed and like moved home. And that was really hard. Everything, like couldn't go to confession, like couldn't go to mass, like for East. It was a crazy time, but I was still like, I still had this like Bible study that would meet like on Zoom. And yeah, so that was really tough, and like just like not having the community. Like I remember like crying, sobbing, crying home, like when like, well, at mass too was like crying because our priest like announced like, yeah, we won't be able to have mass anymore. And yeah, it was just a really hard day, and I was just like crying driving home, which was not really safe. But and then so like I came, but I was like, I at least like and just things at home were really hard. We were just like all at home. And I was like, I need to move back to San Diego, like in the fall, like no matter what. So and even though all my classes ended up being online, there just like wasn't, like we just weren't able to go in person, which was sad. But I was like, at least I can be like with the community again if I move back. And like I got to move in with my Catholic friends, and like we got a house together, and so that was really cool. So then it was like, like living with friends in the community. And then basically I like we got a whole new team of missionaries my last year of school, my senior year. And this is really where things like kind of really escalated quickly, because it was like I come back in the fall, and they asked me to join the leadership team. So I was like a leader now, like in the community. And then like I met like the new team of missionaries, and as part of the leadership team, they were like, oh, you need someone to disciple you, which I didn't really know what that meant. And that's not even exactly how we invite someone. It's usually like we as missionaries invite someone into discipleship. But for me, it was like, oh, you have to go find someone. And I was like, okay, I'll like go find this. I guess I'll ask this missionary that I don't really know yet. And she was just like I remember asking her like, oh, like, will you disciple me? She's like, let me get back to you, because I think it just really caught her off guard. But yeah, it was cool because I started like being in discipleship, and just like kind of learning what it means to live as a disciple. And she just like really challenged me, and like, yeah, she ended up sharing the gospel with me, which is like another key moment where, she just like laid it all out of like, yeah, like what you desire is a relationship with Jesus. Like that is actually what you're looking for. And all these desires like in your life of like wanting marriage, wanting, you know, like to have a career, like all these desires like are ultimately rooted in a relationship with Jesus. And like we get to choose to respond to that invitation, and we get to choose to be reconciled to God, to choose to be made new. in Jesus. And yeah, that demands a response. And I remember like being like, I don't really know what that means, and like being like kind of terrified, but also knowing like, yeah, I want to go to heaven. Like this is like a free choice I get to make. So I was like, yeah, like I remember like really hesitantly saying no, or sorry, not saying yes. I remember saying like yes, like I will say yes, like making Jesus center my life today. But I don't, even though I don't really know what that means. But it was like even that like hesitant yes, that like Jesus just like took that and just like she just was like, okay, yeah, like start committing to like actually praying every day. Because I was praying and like going to adoration. I don't remember how frequently at this point, but it was like, okay, I'm like going to go and like actually like set aside this time for prayer. And then just started like giving, it was like every invitation, I'm pretty like open person, and it was like every invitation she met, I was like, yeah, like I will go. I just like kept giving more, like all of these like smaller yeses. And then she like shared the high call with me. She was like, yeah, like this, like the faith that you've experienced, like the ways you're coming to know the Lord, like it's not just for you, like there are souls at stake that like the Lord wants you to invest in and to walk with. And I was like, yeah, like that's I desire that. And so she's like, great, like let's lead a Bible study together in the spring. And at this point too, I was like applying to grad school, and I remember praying like the St. Andrew Novena like during Advent to like get into grad school. And I was I don't know why I had this thought, but I remember thinking like, if I don't get into grad school, or like if it's not gonna work out, like the Lord must want something else for me. Like I don't know, that's all I remember really. But and so it was like the spring, I come to the spring semester, and I'm like leading this Bible study, with these great women, and then like end up like sharing the gospel with like all, like she taught me how to share the gospel with all of them, like invited them to make Jesus in their life, and like half said yes and half said no, which was really cool, and just like had this growing desire to like seeing like the way the missionaries live their lives, and it was experiencing just greater freedom in myself and my identity and who I was, and just like wanted to just like learn more about like my faith and just like do that full time, like just like was very drawn to the missionaries' lives and just like how they got to travel and all just the adventure of it, and that like really drew me in. But I just never thought, I was like, I had like, yeah, like just grown so much in confidence in myself, and I was like, this is still so recent, like there's no way I could be a missionary, like that's not for me, and I'm gonna go to grad school, like that's the plan that I've like, that's like the next step of like what I've planned out. And then I went on the Father's House retreat in April, which was like a focused retreat, and that was like a huge turning point, because it was so random. I wasn't gonna go on it, and then the missionaries like kind of invited us, and none of the missionaries from my school were going, and yeah, and so basically I went on this retreat and just felt like the Lord like actually invited me to be a missionary, like pretty explicitly in prayer, and I was like, okay, like I've given all these yeses to you, Lord, like, and I have a desire to truly refuse you nothing. So I will say yes, even though like you're gonna have to do this. Like I don't know how to do that or what that means. And then so I came back from this retreat and like told her name's Eileen. I told Eileen, I was like, yeah, I have to be a missionary. Like, what do I do? And originally like there wasn't going to be like a spot, because this was April and training was in May, like in North Dakota, and so I was like, there's no way. But then it was just like I gave that yes in prayer, and then the Lord just like opened all these doors. So it was like, actually you can apply right now, because we actually still need more women, which never happens. And then so then I ended up applying, and just I didn't even go to like interview weekend because that already passed, and it was just like a 2-hour online interview, and just like went through all the steps, and it was like very last minute for like my family, and that was hard for them, which I feel bad about, because it was just like they had no idea, and I was just like, yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna apply, like I have to apply and just like see what happens. And yeah, I ended up getting hired and then became a missionary. So there's a long story short, yeah, just like it was just a crazy series of events, and just like the Lord just pursuing me and just like growing me in my identity and in freedom, and like allowing me to grow and trusting him and like his plan for my life. So that's a lot of things, but yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to continue it on, because I'm sure like there's so much more, even like from the point you become a missionary to the point where we're here now in Ireland. So I would love to continue it on, but unfortunately Thomas has given me the time signal. So
well, timed out. That's okay.
up,
I'll just have to come back.
Yeah,
Just
for
kidding.
sure. Yeah, 100%. We'll get you back
I
on.
do like to talk a lot. This is fun.
Nice.
No, this is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Cool. So
Yeah.
until next Saturday, same time, we will be back. I don't know if you'll be back.
Same time, same place.
Yeah, same time, same place. New guest. And yeah, thanks for
Another
coming
one.
out once again.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, until then, take care and God bless.
Take care. God bless.